Hello and welcome to the Declassified Cheat Codes Podcast, Episode 6. This is your source for new news and random gaming facts and announcements. I said new news because I don't know who put this in our notes. Was it you or was it me?
That was
It
you.
says new. It was me. I wrote new news.
Yes, you had typed all that in. Whatever's in red is the only stuff I put in there, buddy.
How freaking tired was I when I typed that? I know I keep updating this same file, but it says new news, and I'm laughing about it.
That's funny.
I was like, did Mike really go in there and
There's no
want
news
to identify
like
that
new
our
news.
identify that our news was newer than standard news?
This is the newest new news.
Yeah. I think we should work that into our slogan somewhere.
We should.
Rather than random bullshit. I think it'd be
should.
funnier if it was like the newest news or the gaming's newest news.
The gaming's newest news. But anyway, we're your hosts. I'm Hillhouse.
Oh yeah, and I'm Josiah.
We're just talking away, man. It's a good day. It's a good day.
It's going to be a late episode this week. We had a
Yeah.
lot happen in our lives
Yes.
over the weekend, so apologies for that, but we will still try to get our next episode out on scheduled time on the weekend, so you may get another episode within 2 or 3 days.
Yep, true. But we may make you
But
wait, so you're hungry
Yeah.
for more. That's right. That's right.
Insert disclaimer.
All right, let's go.
Let's go. Last week was E3, so I assume
Yes.
anyone interested in gaming news is probably aware of a lot of the bigger announcements. I just made a few notes of some of the random little pieces of news that you may have missed. One of the bigger announcements that was at the Microsoft showcase, which was on Sunday. This is a long time ago now. It was about 9 days ago. On Sunday, they announced that there was going to be a new version of Gamepass, where if you're familiar with Gamepass is a service that you pay $10 a month to basically rent a bunch of games that you can download locally onto your Xbox. And they already had announced recently that they were going to start offering it for PC. And then they just announced in E3 that they were going to do a bundle that included Game Pass for Xbox, Game Pass for PC, and your Xbox Live
Yes.
subscription. And it's only going to be $15 a month, so it's pretty good. So essentially, you're paying $15 a month, which I'm not good at math. What is that a year?
Well,
150 plus 30, so 170 a year.
Usually just for Game Pass alone, or I'm sorry, for Live alone, Xbox Live, you're paying $9.99 a month, or you pay $60 one time for a year. So either way, you're making out with this deal at $15 a month. You're making out.
Right. It's actually, if like me, I already pay for Game Pass. So I pay $120 a year for Game Pass.
Yeah.
And then I have to do $60 a year for the ability to play online.
Yes.
So that is $180. So $15 a month comes out to $10 less than what I'm already paying.
Exactly.
But in addition to that, I can now have Game Pass on PC.
Exactly.
So for me, it's a really good deal. I'm already saving money.
I'm just, I'm squirming in my chair. I just can't wait, man. It's just so freaking awesome. It's so freaking awesome. I love it.
I know all of our PS4 listeners think we're really pro Xbox, but I'm not getting paid by them. I just enjoy the console.
Not to say we wouldn't mind
if you
being paid by
have a
them.
PC, the thing is, if you have a PC or a Windows PC or an Xbox right now, you can sign up for it for $1 for the first month, and that allows you to play online, co-op with other players on either service, and it allows you to have Game Pass access on PC or Xbox.
Just the amount of games alone that you can play on your PC. Just the amount of games alone that you can play, and the cross service, the whole thing. Dude, it is so freaking worth it. And you know that Sony's going to do the same thing. They're going to come out with a way to match or beat. You know, it's that whole competitive thing. They're not going to just let it sit. So people with PS4, they need to understand, you know, and they may have a PC also. It's coming for you too, man. It's coming for you too. It's going to happen. For you.
And the thing is, it's not even the amount of games, it's the quality of the games.
Exactly.
Not only do you get a lot of games, it gives you all of the Microsoft flagship titles that they release. So even if you say they don't have many exclusives, it gives you things like Sea of Thieves and State of Decay, and Gears 5 is going to be on it. What's crazy is they've added Metro Exodus this month, which is still a very expensive game. And then like 2 months ago, they added Monster Hunter World that is still going for $60 on shelves.
Exactly.
So if you're into any of the games on there, you can basically rent it for, you know, basically, okay, let's say this. Let's say you wanted to buy 2 games within all of Game Pass that are $60 games. Let's say you wanted to go out and buy Monster Hunter World and Gears 5 this year. Well, you could just do Game Pass for the entire year for the same price, and then you get not only access to those games, but
every other freaking
90 other titles. Yeah,
exactly. They said it's going to be well over 100 titles before the end of this year.
It's really crazy.
It's going to be
really
awesome.
Exciting.
Yeah, and you're talking about, but you're also, you know, think about this. You know, I have wanted when I saw the whole Game Pass thing was coming, and you knew we talked a little bit about the possibility of a bundle happening last week. But when we were talking about that whole Game Pass thing happening, I was like, man, all I wanted to do was get Sonic on my PC so I can play it. That's all I cared about, man, because I those old school games, man, and Microsoft made some good old school games, you know, plus the newer stuff that they have now. But like you're saying, man, for the price of 2 or 3 games, you get to play 100 instead of just really those cool 2 or 3 games that you may not like.
And it wasn't even just last week. When they first released Game Pass and I subscribed to it, immediately I was thinking, okay, if I can buy a year of this one, I really want to buy a year of the other, or why do I have to have 2 bills? I was already wanting it bundled, so it's been a long time coming for me. And it's really satisfying. It's not the greatest savings, but the fact that it is a savings, and it just makes it a monthly bill rather than a yearly thing. I'll take it.
And it's so much easier. Think about it. They're going to add the new games as they come out. And the more people that jump on the Microsoft or the whatever, you know, that part of the team's bandwagon, especially with all the crossplay coming, and you know these gaming companies are just going to make it for everybody because it's going to be crossplay. They're going to make more money that way. But every new game that comes out from Microsoft, just think about it. You're going to be able to play it immediately. Immediately. You haven't got to go to the store, wait in line. You're going to be able to play it right away. As soon as they put it on the service, boom, you got it. All you have to do is download it. It's just, to me, it's such a convenience. I mean, it's what I'm going to be doing. I mean,
yeah,
you know?
And it's the same thing with music. Like music and games did the same thing. So about, 15 years ago, we bought them all physically. Physical games, physical music. And then it turned to downloads, where we started downloading our games and not actually owning the discs, and downloading music from iTunes and not owning the CDs. Once they realized that you don't even want a physical thing, then it gave rise to the immediate reaction of, what if you just rented it?
Yeah.
You know? And then you get things like Spotify and Apple Music, where you don't actually own any of it. You're just renting the access to a library. It's the same thing with Game Pass.
Exactly.
So it's interesting. We're going through a lot of changes in technology and what basically consumers are willing to pay for. And right now it's paying very little for selection is what the consumer wants.
Yep. And I think this is even going to start more of a price war later on down the road here, maybe in the next year, where you're going to see some really good deals coming out of these streaming services, you know, including Steam, you know, Xbox, Sony, all of them. You're going to see really good deals coming out of the woodwork because they're going to want to keep competing against each other. And I could even see it get to the point where you're able to have the 3 different consoles set up more easily because it's all streaming anyway. You won't need to have the PlayStation 4. You just buy the service for your PC.
That's one comparison that will not go with music. Music will never. Actually, it is with music. Music just skipped a step. Music is already streaming. You're not downloading things locally, and you're listening to music that is over in a database somewheres, and you're just actively streaming it through internet. So they actually jumped the gun and just skipped the whole downloading locally step.
Exactly.
But while we're talking about streaming, I know I didn't have this in the notes. Let's talk about Stadia again, because we talked about it last week. Yeah. But if you remember from last week, or if you didn't listen to it, Stadia has announced that it's going to be $10 a month. Yeah. So everybody was kind of wondering what the pricing was going to be on it. And so basically you pay $10 a month to be able to use their service, and then you have to purchase the games within it. Yeah. So it's like an expensive version. If it doesn't have a package, it's like an expensive version of Xbox Live right now. Yeah. But it made everybody immediately ask, what was Xbox's xCloud's reaction going to be to that? What was their pricing going to be? Was it going to also be $10? Is that going to be the market standard? And they did say in an E3 interview that it would be bundled with that Game Pass Ultimate when it gets launched. Yeah. So whenever xCloud does come to whenever it does descend from heaven into our glorious hands, it will be packaged with Ultimate. So for $15 a month, you get all of that. And I assume it's going to be similar to Stadia in the sense where it's probably $5 to $10 a month if you're not already in that big bundle. But then they're throwing it in as a free service if you're already paying Microsoft that much money, because Stadia already announced that there would be a free version of Stadia that doesn't have the 4K and everything that comes out next year. So that's going to be kind of the what's the word? Parallel. So it's going to be Stadia Premium, Stadia Free, xCloud. I don't have anything that Xbox or Microsoft has ever made, and xCloud, I'm already a fanboy, Yes. So
yeah, no, I agree with you. Cool. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and just jump in with one of my stories, because that actually ties into this with what happened at E3. And it's about all of these gaming companies that basically want to become the new Netflix, the new Hulu, by doing these streaming services and these packages, because it's not just Stadia that's doing it. You also have Final Fantasy publisher Square Enix. They're looking to launch a service. Microsoft, like we just talked about, they're spending millions of dollars by acquiring gaming studios, in order to build up their service. Origin Access, they already have theirs. Nintendo Switch Online last year. They're doing their thing. They announced that they're going to be doing theirs. And, like you said, Microsoft xCloud. So everybody is actually...
Nintendo Switch already has a... Yeah. It's not comparative to any of the other things we're talking about. It's a bunch of NES and old school games. Yes. That if you have their online service, you can stream those games and download them locally. So that's kind of similar.
But like we were talking about a minute ago, though, with all of this happening, what it's going to do is it's going to create a price war. Like, who's got the best content for the money? And that's what it's going to become. So all of us as gamers and consumers are going to benefit from this big time. Right. Because honestly, I didn't even expect it to be this crazy from what I'm seeing in a lot of the forums, what I'm seeing on a lot of stories and articles, is that these guys are going to be battling. And you're saying, $14.99 a month and you get the whole shebang, which is just a killer deal. I mean, to me, that's just a great deal. But I could see where you're paying a lump sum price like you do with World of Warcraft. You can either pay $14.99 a month, or you pay $12.99 a month by paying in a 6-month lump sum. So Yeah, which is
And I've already wanted a service to combine. The more that you can combine on monthly bills, the better.
Yeah.
I already wanted some sort of package that was like Netflix and Spotify. Just at least those together would be great. Hulu and Spotify has a promotion, but you can't get Hulu Premium. It's really stupid. But I could see Microsoft doing a package where they also add, what do they call it? Is it called Groove Music? Nobody uses it.
Something like that. Yeah.
There's a streaming service. It's called Groove Music.
It kind of went with
pay,
it came with the Zune.
Oh my God, the Zune. Whip out your Windows phone and do a Google search for Zune.
Zune, and you'll be impressed. Yes.
But no, like I would pay an extra couple of bucks a month onto that 15 if it had a streaming music service and I could cut the bill off. Like,
absolutely, I would too.
I mean, putting everything into one is really what is the future, I believe.
Yes.
I think right now everybody is milking the fact that there is not that choice. I think they're like trying to get all the dollars they can while they can until someone comes out with that, you know.
That's actually a great idea, man.
Well, I know there was a company a few years ago. I don't remember the name of it. There was a company that already tried to do it, but the thing is, they didn't partner with people. They just created their own services. They should have partnered with well-known services.
Yes,
and actually created a movement, but it would require those services like Spotify and Hulu to actually agree to lose money, basically, for a discount.
Yeah.
But they would have to be hopeful that they would gain customers from competitors by being in a bundle, you know?
Yeah.
It's just about how you sell it. But I mean, even if you sold it as good as you can, if you can't get all the shareholders on board, you know, they probably won't agree to it.
Yep. A lot of people go with well-known names, man. I mean, that's just a good business move. You know, you jump on, you jump in bed with a good company and boom, you're going to make money, you know, especially something that's trusted that people have dealt with for many years. If you don't have that on your side, then you're just kind of taking a chance.
You'll make a money baby. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. But anyway.
But yeah, the future of everything is streaming. You're right about that.
But the problem though right now is that I see is that too many companies trying to jump in. There's going to be a lot of failures. You're going to see it. It's going to be kind of like the .com thing that happened, you know, and all these companies that just all of a sudden jumped in, and then only about a third of them did well, and everybody else took a big giant crap on the internet, you know. But these companies that are doing it, the problem you have is Microsoft is one of the lowest costs. EA is cheaper with their Origin Access. It's like $4.99 a month or $29.99 a year. Yeah, and you get more than 200 games, you know, on there. Something like it's like 220 games with Premiere. But Xbox is $9.99 a month, or like you said, $14.99 with the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
So, which is just a crazy. I'm buying it, dude.
What's
I don't
so
care.
funny
I'm buying it. It's already take my money. Here.
Oof.
It's done.
Yeah, I've already done it because it already saves me like $10 this month.
What sucks though is I wonder if they have some sort of a deal, because I've already paid for. I just paid for the other day. What's it called?
For the PC one?
Yeah, no, for the Xbox. I paid for the damn Xbox Live Gold. I paid the $59.
Oh yeah, there's a thing. I don't have it pulled up, but it says it gives you a discount. It says it gives you a discount for those months.
Okay.
So it basically reimburses you over time. I think you won't be paying 15 is how it works for a while.
Okay, good.
I don't know exactly how it works. I didn't read into it. But anyway. I don't remember what I was saying. Oh, yeah. Anyway, what's so funny is there's things like PlayStation had a streaming-based service that was like a streaming version of Gamepass.
Yeah.
You wouldn't download them locally. You would stream them. So a lot of people complained about that technology at the time because it was very cutting edge, but the technology wasn't ready yet. So now everyone is pushing towards streaming, and PlayStation's already had their foot in it for a while. But what's funny is when you compare Game Pass and PlayStation's, I forget what it's called, PlayStation. It's not. Oh my God, I forget what it's called. Anyway, they have the same kind of service. They're with different ways of doing it. But the only company that was not them, the first one to step up to make a subscription service, was randomly EA. I think it's the funniest thing is EA's had EA Access for a while, and they do have the library. So I guess that's why they did it. But yeah, you passingly mentioned that Square is doing it, and yeah, Square Enix is going to have their own subscription-based service. There's no rumors on prices yet, no official announcement, but Square has a huge library of games.
Yes,
and
they do.
All different genres. And I think the lowest rated Square game in recent history that I remember is Thief. Thief was horribly received, but besides that, Square has a very good quality average per game.
Yeah.
If they do make it a streaming service, please try it out. Almost every game that they would offer would be quality. I assume they're going to throw in all of the old Final Fantasies, the ones that go for like $15 to $20, you know?
Yep. Probably.
9, the old version of 7. Probably, I don't know. They might launch it with the remake, of 7. Because, for example, Game Pass has brand new $60 games in it, so I don't know what would keep Square from doing it. I wouldn't expect them to do it, but if they did do it, then that's a really big draw to that service, you know?
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I agree with you. And actually, speaking of that, of Square Enix and this huge library you're talking about, I'm just going to throw this in there because it happens to go with your story. Have you heard about the new Avengers game?
Yeah, I heard that they were making one, but I didn't catch that Square was making it. I saw that you wrote that down.
Yeah, it's Square Enix and Marvel together. It's a joint project. And have you seen the trailer?
No, I haven't. I guess I need to pull it up. The thing is,
it is crazy.
Go ahead and keep talking about it. I'll pull it up real quick.
It doesn't show, I guess, what the actual game's going to be like, but it gives you a taste of it, and it's just enough of a taste, in my opinion, to make me want them to really freaking do this. I know that they're taking their time because they want to do it right. They want this to be an epic Avengers game that comes out, and it's based on the movies.
Yeah.
Subtly, it's not 100%, but they're also working on a new Spider-Man title and a series based on Guardians of the Galaxy. So they've got a bunch of things in the mix on it, but and they don't get into too much detail on any of the stories or any of the tweets or any of the forums that I've been looking at about this, because I'm trying to find out.
It is literally just a teaser.
It's a teaser, but the trailer is so awesome.
Yeah, it has that.
Awesome.
It has that square, very detailed, gritty, dirty style of animation. You can already tell it's going to look like their games. The thing that I'm really curious about is the character design, because Square kind of has a style to their games.
Yeah. Tony Stark didn't exactly look.
Have they released images?
Like, oh yeah, I watched not just a trailer on. God, where was it that I watched this trailer at? I think it was off of the E3 announcement itself. Dude, it is nuts. It looks a lot like the heroes in the game, except for the voices don't quite match what you remember from the movies, and the faces don't 100% match, but it's a damn fine job. The one thing that, I got my little nerdy gamer chubby from was the Hulk, because that sumbitch just came out of nowhere. And I was like, if I can play as the Hulk, I will die a happy man. I will die a happy man. But it looks like an outstanding game. If they take their time with it, then yeah, it's going to be great.
I'd appreciate if you don't talk about your nerdy
Chubby.
Chubby much more.
I wasn't planning on it. When I realized what I said, okay, you can't say that again. But hey, ladies and gentlemen, Josiah brought it up, not
Mistakes were made.
me. Brought it up was probably a poor choice of words.
Okay.
Anyway, on to the next story.
This is not really
Very excited about the Marvel.
Yeah, this is not a news point, this next one. This is more of a realization of something that we talked about last week. I was talking about how Minecraft Story Mode was supposed to come down from the Microsoft Store on the 20th, but actually, what day was it? It was like last Monday. It was already not available for purchase. So they did an announcement to download it if you already owned it. But now I'm wondering if the day they said that, was it already not available for purchase? Because it was already marked in the store as you couldn't buy it. Because I saw it as a selection. I was like, I wonder if you can actually still purchase this, even though it's going to be deleted on the 20th, you know? And
if they took it off of...
Yeah, it was already, it's not taken off. It's just not be able to purchase. Like a lot of titles that are on 360 that they haven't ported over yet, or they want you to have the disc of just as a business practice. They'll say it's not available for purchase, you know?
Oh, but if they did something like that though, you would have some sort of repercussions, because they can't just tell you that it's not purchasable, that it will become unpurchasable. And it's already unpurchasable. I mean, you have to. Isn't there supposed to be some sort of? Well, technically, no. I mean,
I don't think technically there is
something they're selling. They could just take it off the market. Yeah,
people do it all the time.
Wow, because it's not like you're renting a service from them. You just.
And the thing is, they didn't even announce it. The publishers didn't even announce it. It was just some of the people that worked on the game. So. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
It's just scary that things can come off the store that quick. Also, the fact that when they announced it, I almost guarantee it was already probably not available for purchase. So, yeah. I don't understand why Microsoft didn't just pay a lot of money for it, because Microsoft has Minecraft. I don't know why they didn't just pay a boatload for the nostalgia of it, because there's still a lot of fans of those games, you know?
Yeah, there really is.
I mean, I don't have a personal opinion on them. I've never played them. I've heard they're pretty campy and ridiculous, and I know they're targeted at a younger audience, but still, I do know that it has an actual fan base that appreciates those games, you know?
No, there really is. I agree with you 100%. I wonder what they're going to do.
I didn't put this in the notes to talk about this, but it is funny that this Minecraft game that is not, you know, in the main line, that's actually a Telltale game. It is funny that it's coming down right before E3, and in E3 they talked about the new Minecraft dungeon crawler game, which actually looks pretty good and actually fits the genre of Minecraft very well. When I saw it, I was like, why didn't they do this years ago? Like, I can imagine it's going to do very well, especially if it's launched on all platforms or has some sort of crossplay. It's basically Diablo meets Minecraft, and it looks great. They didn't show much. It was like in their highlight reel of showing like 100 different games, but I think that game's going to do really well.
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, Minecraft still has a humongous fan base. I mean, of all ages. So I think the whole dungeon crawler idea is going to be fine. I think it's going to be a great game.
Yeah,
I really do. I mean, because I know a lot of people who play it. I never personally got into it, but yeah, I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it and love it.
Yeah, definitely. We talked a little bit about. Let's talk about the Scarlet a little bit. What we know about the Scarlet.
Sure.
Since we're still talking about E3 and Microsoft's showcase, the Scarlet. Okay, so in a straightforward question, and they asked if the Scarlet would have a disk drive, the answer was, of course, it's going to have a disk drive. And I was very surprised by that. I honestly thought the next generation was going to undoubtedly not have disk drives, because we've gotten to the point where MacBooks don't have disk drives. They've already released a new Xbox that's streaming only that doesn't have a disk drive.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised that they confidently responded that it would have a disk drive, you know? And they said something about how there's a lot of gamers and they appreciate the fact that a lot of their fans have a lot of games physically that they don't want to lose. And so they're going to keep a disk drive on it. And I'm glad that they actually hear the comments about the concern from those people that want them to keep the disk drive. But I have two things to say on it. Number one, there's always going to be change. And I think there's always going to be pushback for change. And the other thing is all a disk drive is going to do for me is raise the price of the console.
Yes.
Because not only do you have to put a $20 to $30 disk drive in there, but the fact that you have to put it in makes the case larger, makes everything else have to be smaller because you have to make it all fit in there. So they may not be able to go with a more practical choice for certain parts. I hope that the actual answer is that the Scarlet releases with two versions, that one will have a disk drive and one won't.
You're probably hitting the nail on the head.
And the thing is, they responded like, "Of course it will have a disk drive. Calm your tits." But, I really feel like that's not the proper thing for next gen. That doesn't sound cutting edge. It doesn't sound flashy. It sounds like they're pro gamer, and I know Microsoft has always been really in tuned. Well, maybe not always been, but since the Xbox One flopped so hard on launch, they have since been very understanding and very in tune with the gamers that want just good quality games and good quality experiences. So I understand that they want to keep the disk drive. Maybe there's even rumors that the PS5 is not going to have one, and they're already wanting to be the cool kids that still have the classics on it. But the thing is, if they're going to have a disk drive on the Scarlet, there's probably going to be one on the PS5. It just means that the next generation is not going to have it. And I think that's really surprising.
It surprises me a lot, because you figure with the way that streaming is taking over everything right now, why not just jump into it both feet and just do it? Because in the next 2 years, you're going to have to come out with a console that does nothing but streaming anyway. So the good thing to do would be to make the Scarlet with both a disk drive and without a disk drive.
You know what?
You're absolutely right.
I didn't even think about it until right now, but I bet it's just they're scared because of how the Xbox One launched. They don't want to be making a mistake like that, because remember, the Xbox One had to use the Kinect. You could only buy it with the Kinect. Kinect had to always be on. You had to always be online to play games. Remember all that stuff, all that drama?
Panic marketing.
Yeah. So they're probably going to include the disk drive because of fear. And the thing is, we have the half console generation updates, the PS4 Pro, the Xbox One X or the Xbox One S, whichever one you think is halfway through. It's probably the One S. Maybe they're planning to just release the Scarlet safely, making it not have any controversial lack of disk drive, because they already had a console that was controversial. Maybe they're just planning on the updated version to not have one. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they could just be playing the safe game on launch. That way they don't get bad press. And then they're already thinking in the back of their head, it's going to be a streaming console. Nobody's going to want the disk drive. No one's going to want that extra clunkiness to it,
Yeah. You could be absolutely right on that. I mean, it makes sense for them to want to act cautiously in the wake of the Xbox One.
I would like for there to be two different versions on launch, but most likely it's just going to be a safe version, and then they have in the back pocket the updated version.
Yes.
rather
Exactly.
than doing the very cutting edge, this is how the future is, and Xbox was telling everyone how everything was going to be, and then everyone just shat in their face and returned their Xboxes, you know?
Well, at the same time, though, too, it could be, that they're, pandering to a lot of the consumers that they do have that use these consoles as a Blu-ray player.
Right.
As a way to watch these, because a lot of people do stream movies. True, it happens now, but there's still a lot of people that have DVDs.
Right. And the thing is, the attitude is just turned. So when the Xbox One came out, Microsoft was coming out of the last console war on top. The 360 did a lot better than the PS3. So Microsoft was in the position where they could be basically like Apple for computers, saying that we're not going to give you a disk drive because you don't need to use them. And then everyone realizes that they don't need to use them. So they set a trend. Microsoft was on the top of the console war. They were designing a new console. If they told you that you always needed to be connected to the internet, I'm sure they thought that everyone would accept that and realize that they needed to be connected to the internet,
Yeah.
And then it blew up in their face. Because in the same sense, PlayStation right now, everyone has the attitude that the PS5, they are confident with whatever they put out, people will have to accept. So hopefully PlayStation learns a lesson from what Microsoft did and doesn't do something stupid, because I'm sure Sony's thinking the same thing about they are the king right now and they can do whatever they want, and that the consumer will have to deal with the choices they make and see them as authority, And
I
and the thing is, Microsoft did that, and everyone was like, no, F you, there's another choice. So hopefully Sony realizes that don't repeat what Microsoft did when you're on top. It's that arrogance that really got Microsoft, because they just thought they could release whatever they want. They were really proud of their Kinect, so they thought everyone else should be proud of it. And then that actually ultimately killed the Kinect, which was already kind of ho-hum. It just made people
it wasn't all that great to begin with.
It was already kind of a gimmick, and then it just killed it when you forced people to have it, and they were just like boycotting it,
Yep, you're right, man.
Oof. I just realized I hadn't said oof enough in this, so I'm going to make up for it and start saying oof a little bit more.
Indeed. We're kind of jumping around, but it's making good sense. It's flowing, baby.
Okay.
I think the people will be much appreciative of the fact that we're not,
Anyway. Wait. Let me pull this up. I think it's on my phone. I took a picture of it. Let me see. Have you heard about the Atari VCS?
No, I
It was
have
a
not.
crowdfunded console, and there's a lot to it. If you want to know more about it, we can talk about it next week, details about it. There's a lot more to it than I wanted to talk about right now. But the main thing I wanted to point out was the ridiculous pricing that they've released for it. So not only is the pricing ridiculous for this thing, so it's not made by Atari, I don't believe. I think it's just made by some people that wanted to make an Atari system. So it looks really old school. It's a very clean looking. It has that old fake wood finish to it, like the original Atari.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it sounds really cool until you hear the price. So the Walmart SKUs have already been released, and there's a real premium edition that at the top is going for $389.99.
What?
That's the price of a PS4 Pro.
What do you get with that, may I ask?
Now, you just get, it's the big bundle. You get the system and the controller, which is really funny.
Oh, the bundle, is it? Tell me about this bundle.
What's funny
for
is we don't even
$389.
call these bundles anymore. If you go out and buy an Xbox, you expect it to come with a controller. Same thing with the PlayStation. You don't call that a bundle. We call that a console. But the Atari VCS, on the other hand, does not come with a controller unless you get the bundle. If you wanted to save money, you could buy the $279 version, which is the price of already a pretty expensive console like an Xbox or a PlayStation that also comes with a controller. So you might ask, what does the controller cost? Well, there are two different controllers. There's a modern controller and there's the classic joystick. The modern controller is $59.99, the price of most controllers. Okay, well, it better be a good controller, right? And then the joystick is $49. You're going to be paying $50 for an old school Atari joystick that's just, I guess, nicer. It's probably more durable. It's wireless, I guess. I don't know.
Couldn't you possibly take an old joystick and cut the wire and change it to USB?
Yeah.
Save yourself some money. I don't know. I'm talking about crazy. I'm talking about a perfect world.
It's just crazy.
It's not gonna
what
happen.
they're trying to. The thing is, these are Walmart SKUs. I don't know if they will be stocking them all in the store, or if this just means they're going to be on the website, because there's a lot of versions of this console compared to an Xbox or a PlayStation. Yes, it's $389 for the big bundle, and it does come with two controllers. So think about it this way. A PlayStation or Xbox controller is about $60. Of course, you can find deals with them as low as $40 almost daily if you just didn't want the right color. Let's say it's $60. So let's say you buy a PlayStation 1 terabyte of the Slim. It's going to be like $300. Actually, it's going to be like $269 right now. And you add $60 for an extra controller, it's going to be like $330. It's still cheaper, you know?
But
what?
I could see a real problem here for them. Okay. And that's if they think they have a badass controller and these things do. Remember, Atari controllers weren't exactly all that great to begin with. Okay, they broke easily. I remember always having to buy a new one.
Yeah, they would probably be making it better than that. The original Atari controller is really prone to breaking. It wasn't a great design.
Well, I'm just talking as a, not just as an Atari controller perspective. I'm talking as a company perspective that just their stuff didn't always. Atari is basically like the Kmart of gaming consoles. Okay. It looks good on the outside, but after a couple of uses, it falls apart. That's how it used to be back in the past.
Yeah, and there was a reason Atari went bankrupt, you know.
I just hope that these people that are running this, I would like to see them do good. That's just why I say stuff like this.
Right.
Not just because I'm a pain in the ass or I'm, being pessimistic. I just want to, I want them to do good.
Yeah, so there's... In addition to all of that I just said, there's another version. So there's the big bundled version that comes with two controllers for $389. There's a non-bundled version that doesn't come with controllers for $279. Then there's a 4 gigabyte RAM version that goes for $249. They're actually selling different RAM versions of this console. There's a 4 gig and an 8 gig. And get this, they're being advertised as being upgradable. So I don't know if it's just going to take like laptop RAM or something, and you can just pop it open and throw some RAM in it.
No, it would have to be something like the gaming RAM, I would think. Like the rip sticks or something, the rip jaw. Or
whatever. But it's going to be really small. It's a console. I'm not sure if it'll be able to fit full size RAM in it. It may take the little laptop ones.
Do you think it'll be the size of a Xbox?
I mean, I can imagine. I don't think they're going to be selling you something that's as large as an encyclopedia or something.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if it's the size of an Xbox, I could see it having a motherboard in it that could actually take regular PC RAM.
And the thing is, they haven't released what it maxes out at. If you could put up to 16 to 32 gigs of RAM in it, then it's going to be.
Oh my God, dude!
It's going to be like a modder's dream. Because it's going to have Bluetooth capabilities. It's going to look nice. It's going to say Atari.
It might even be worth, buying the big giant one if it's depending on if the case is even a little bit bigger. Because see, I wouldn't mind a console like that if the case was just maybe the size of an Xbox One now, or maybe even the older version. I have the original Xbox One, and I could see even buying something that big, not going for something smaller and tighter like everybody wants, just to be able to modify the RAM.
Right.
Because the RAM makes all the fucking difference, man.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's a crowd-funded console. So if they know that their target market for classic gamers, people that are really into modding, if that's their market, then they may be making a console that is built for modding. And in that case, then maybe it is worth $289. It might be worth even more, $249, if you're already going to mod out the RAM.
Yeah, exactly. And to somebody like me, it's worth it if that's what it's for. I would buy one in a heartbeat. God, I'm going to spend so much money.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous this year. I'm going to be poor this year. 2020 is the year I go into bankruptcy.
Yeah, the thing is, the question is, will it get its execution right? They have to realize that they're putting it out at a price of a mainstream console. It's not going to be popular with, it's going to be clearly the fourth place. It's going to be battling with 3 other consoles around the same price, and it's going to be this thing that no kids today have ever heard of.
Possibly even
their parents.
More than that but I mean, it could even be dealing with more than just those 3 consoles, with everybody getting into this whole Streambox thing.
Yeah.
It could end up being just a huge war for them as far as making this happen. That's the point that I was trying to make with, the whole controller thing and the whole, Atari it always just seemed to break. That's the thing, is if they need to understand that it has to be a badass console. If this is what they're looking to do and they're getting crowdfunded for it, then yeah, hopefully it's somebody smart behind it that understands that, look, it's got to be a tank.
Yeah.
It's got to be something that's badass for these people that are serious gamers, because that's who's going to be paying the big money to help these guys build it, is these people that live and breathe the gaming.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is I can only assume that this pricing is due to the fact that they probably do not have great business deals with the same people that Microsoft and Sony do. They're probably not getting their parts for as cheap, and they're still trying to make a console that is competitive as far as stats go and performance. So I can only assume that it's that expensive because they're trying to focus on quality. And I'm sure they're aware of the fact that pricing is really scary,
Yes. Yeah.
But they've made the conscious choice to, I guess, I mean, I haven't touched it. I don't know anyone that's working on it. I guess they've made the choice to create quality with the risk of having a scary price, and at least have a product that, people can be proud of. And that's the thing, is it was crowdfunded. So it's fully funded. So what do they have to lose?
Yeah.
All the money that they've put into it is coming back out.
Except for any possible reputation that Atari could have of ever making another comeback.
And that's the thing, is if you take another crowdfunded console like the Ouya, it was very well funded, but it still did not meet up expectations, even as far as performance goes. Because I said on a previous podcast that it was really just a NVIDIA Shield done wrong,
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
but then you're also talking about a company who back in the day basically revolutionized the gaming world. These guys, this could be something that changes everything.
Yeah. It's just funny
it
that
could be the streaming box that's a fucking super powered PC. I mean, think about it. What have we always talked about? It'd be great to have a badass super powered gaming PC that could play everything that your console could play. It's starting to freaking happen.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is we never see consoles success, not consoles, but we never see video game console companies, the makers of them. We never see any of them come back from the dead.
Yes.
So I've never even considered the question
happens.
of, if you could have one, which one would you want to come back and just make a modern console. It's not going to be retro. They're
Yeah.
just going to be in the new console wars. And the thing is, the big names that you can think of, the top 3 consoles are basically Atari, Sega, and maybe Commodore. I mean, past that, there's like, it's going to be things you've never heard of.
Commodore,
you know?
man.
It's going to be one of those 3.
But Atari, and Sega, but
It's
but
really
Sega
Atari
also
and Sega. They're
pushes
the
a lot
only
of
ones
their
that could
games.
possibly try to come back from the dead.
And Sega, do they push their games through Microsoft now, or do they just license them?
They
to Microsoft?
they license them, but they also license them to other. They do PlayStation too.
So if Sega wanted to make another console,
Sega's
they
just
could.
a publisher now, and the thing is,
Sega,
Atari's not
if
even
you're
a
listening.
publisher. This is completely just
If
nostalgia.
you're listening, Sega.
I think Sega kind
you're
of gave
listening,
up on
Sega,
the war. The
please.
thing is, Sega was pushed out by Sony basically, because it was
but come
Sega
on.
versus Nintendo, and then Sony came in and beat everyone over the head with a stick.
All we need is Elon Musk to buy Sega, and he'll change everything, man.
Every car will come with a Sega in it.
Every Tesla will come with a Sega in the back seat with controllers.
Oh my God.
Oh God, that'd be awesome. Anyway, we're dreaming.
Yeah, dreaming.
Well, hey, speaking of dreaming, man, I got some news for you, buddy.
I can't wait for this segue.
Nintendo, this is a dream come true for a lot of people, actually. But Nintendo at E3 announced that they're working on a sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild for the Nintendo Switch. And it was kind of a big old surprise for a lot of people. There isn't a lot on it. There is a short teaser online that'll show, kind of what's going on a little bit. It gives you a little bit of a peek into it. But it doesn't tell you a lot about it. It just says that, that it's coming out. It doesn't tell you when. It doesn't give you a whole bunch of details, but it does tell you they're doing it.
And
I thought that was kind of cool.
The teaser they put out looks exactly like Breath of the Wild. So it looks like they're just taking advantage of the fact that they already have the framework done, and they just want to throw out another game. Now, what is very surprising is the fact that they don't ever really do sequels.
But the trailer, though, what I thought is that it kind of felt like it started out where the other one ended. And to me, it felt like maybe they had made a longer version of the game and decided to cut it off in the middle and make 2 parts.
Yeah.
Maybe did a George R.R. Martin kind of fucking...
Yeah, they're just doing a super...
the guy that did The Hobbit was.
J.R.R. Tolkien.
No, the guy who did the movies.
Oh, Peter Jackson.
Yes, Peter Jackson. That son of a bitch. I forgot his name. But yeah, how he did, basically it looked like he did one long ass movie, which he did, and then cut it into 3 parts and released them at different points. So to me, the trailer kind of felt like that. I may be wrong. That has happened on occasion.
Now, there was
Ask
a lot
my
of
wife.
talk about,
But-
the Breath of the Wild was originally made for the Wii U. And then when they started talking about the Switch coming out, and the developers were notified that it would have to run on a lot less capable system, they had to rework the game. So it is possible that there were story elements that were designed to be in a console that could handle a much larger game. Breath of the Wild pushes the limits of the Switch a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And it is amazing how smooth it runs.
Well, it launched with it,
Yes,
though.
it launched with it.
So it was a part of it. And I mean, it is amazing how well it runs on the Switch. You are right.
It reminds me of Metroid Prime, actually just the first one, when it came out on the GameCube. It is one of the best looking games on the GameCube. And it was like a launch title. So it's one of those things where it's like, here's what our system can do. Also, we're never going to come close to this again.
I just love the whole style of it.
Yes.
When the artwork and all that. That's one of the biggest things for me. It wasn't just necessarily the gameplay. It was the whole story of it, and I just thought the art was amazing, man.
Yeah.
That's what drew me into it. And that's what actually is drawing me into a lot of games lately is the art style, and because it seemed kind of indie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It didn't seem like a production made game.
Yeah, except for the scope
But it
of
had
it.
production value. Yeah, except for the scope of it. Yeah.
Yeah, the Zelda games have always been about making a game look timeless. Ever since
Yeah.
Wind Waker, they've learned that it's better to make a game look timeless than make a game look cutting edge. And I'm glad they are still doing that with Breath of the Wild. Now, what I did want to add earlier was that they've never really done a sequel to a series. They've never done this is number 2. Now, they may not call it Breath of the Wild 2.
Well, that's why this is such a surprise.
Yeah. They usually totally change the design of the Zelda games. They'll look totally different.
Yeah.
They'll alternate with a young Link game. They'll alternate with a handheld version. They've never really done one back to back in the same style. You know, this isn't like Uncharted or a game where you're like, I expect it to be the same exact thing. You hardly ever expect that with Zelda, you know?
Well, my understanding is it is called Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. That's
what it's currently called. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets a different subtitle and everyone just knows it's the second one, you know.
Oh, maybe Breath of the Wild and then something. Yeah. Yeah. I could see that. But at the same time, it's what I found cool about it, though, is that it seems like an actual continuation.
Yeah.
It seems like it's going to actually keep going. Because, I mean, didn't it kind of feel like maybe there was more to it?
Yeah, definitely. But that's like the overall feeling of all Zelda games. And the thing is you you're confident that you won't have to play the first one to play the sequel, because the character Link in Zelda games always has this eternal attitude of not really knowing what's going on. So even in a sequel, even if you haven't seen or experienced everything that happened in the first one, I'm sure you will be just like Link, wondering what the hell's going on constantly, because that's always how he's acting.
Wouldn't that be nice, though? Wouldn't that be nice, though, if they didn't this time? If they said, you know what, fuck that. You know, if you didn't play the first one, you're not going to have a clue what's going on in the second one. I would love that. I think that would be just neat. There just needs to be more of that. I think
Breath of the Wild starts with a bunch of exposition. It would be nice if the sequel started with no exposition for a while and just threw you into it just to experience like the game and just be like, oh yeah, you remember this world? Like we're back in it. You know, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
If it just.
And that's what's cool too is about the announcement is that they didn't just say, oh yeah, hey, we're doing a game and expect you to believe it. They had something to show for it. And that's what was exciting about it, is that there was actually, you know, but that's what was cool. Anyway, I thought that, you know, it looked the same. It looked like a continuation. And I was like, fuck, man, this is crazy.
Yeah, and there's one other point that I saw some people talking about it. They were saying that they were concerned with the time spent on the game. A lot of people are thinking it was a very quick turnaround compared to how long it took to make Breath of the Wild. Now, an obvious response to that is, well, they already have the framework done. They're using just the same engine, and they can just basically create a new story in the same world. There's even rumors that it's really just going to be in the same world. So it may even be the same map primarily, you know? So that is one response. And another response is the fact that, Majora's Mask had like hardly any time. And it was quickly developed from a scrapped sequel to Ocarina of Time. And a lot of people are comparing it to that as the fact that everyone thought that game was going to suck. And instead, they put a lot of effort into it, introduced groundbreaking mechanics, as it introduced time into it, where it had a clock in the game that it had to have an expansion pack just to run. It was crazy. And they did all this work in a game that had about half of the development time of the predecessor. And so that's making a lot of people go, don't worry, it's Zelda. They're going to put a lot of effort into it. They're going to still wow us. and it may even be better than the original because a lot of people like Majora's Mask more than Ocarina of Time, you know.
Well, that's one of the things that I was thinking is, and reading some of the you know, ifs, ands, and buts about it that people are saying, is that that's why I have the feeling that maybe it was something that was already maybe made and developed, but they cut it off at a certain point and put it on the back burner, possibly because of the whole console thing, like you're saying. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, so they have this piece of a game that they've already created, and they know their mistakes that they've made and such, whatever, and they have a little bit more new technology behind it. So we're going to buff it up a little bit. So it could be that kind of a situation where it looks like they're just jumping into it, but they've already got 90% of the work done. What they're going to do is they're going to put some finesse into it now.
Yeah.
And people are thinking it's going to be crap, but it's going to be like this other game where they're going to love it. I just think that it is. It's Zelda. People are going to love it. They haven't really had one that they've absolutely hated. But, you know, there's some things about some of that people have disliked strongly. But at the same time, it's Zelda. I think people are going to love it.
Definitely. But since we're talking about games being pushed out really soon, let's just skip on to the topic that I was going to talk about today.
Yeah, man.
The fact, one of the big hot topics in gaming right now is development crunch time. Whenever a game is pushed out too soon. I know we've talked on previous podcasts about Fallout 76 seeming to be an unfinished game, and the fact that they knew they were releasing an unfinished game. I think some people say that about Battlefield 5. All these games that had to be released for Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone's saying that they're unfinished games. You know, Call of Duty's always been oppressed with that. And the hope and the light at the end of the tunnel is at this E3, during a very big announcement by Nintendo, where they had tons of great reveals. They had a great reception too, to the games that they released. They also announced that Animal Crossing, that was announced last E3 to come out in 2019, was being delayed to March of 2020. And so we didn't know what month it was coming out in 2019. The latest it could have been and still be 2019 was December. But so it's at least being delayed about 3 months. It's probably about 4 to 5 months of delay. But the thing is, it has had a resounding positive reception from fans saying that they're glad they're taking more time on a game. They're glad that they're putting more effort into a game, and they don't need it this year. They would rather have a game early next year that they will actually play over the years.
Yeah, Animal Crossing.
Yeah, the example I was going to bring up was the fact that still like the most popular Animal Crossing is the one that was on GameCube. So we're talking about a game that was like 18 years old. And the thing is, if they just throw out a game that is not like well designed and time and care put into it to assure that it's a quality game that people are going to be playing for years, you know?
Yeah.
I apologize for my cat not shutting up in the background. If that's not done, they're not going to have that classic of a game. And the thing is, they are taking that extra time to make a game in a franchise that Nintendo is very proud of. They're very protective of Animal Crossing. And they don't want another, what was it called? Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival or something. There was a game that was basically a very shitty version of Mario Party. And people hated it. Yeah. And I think it may have been the only Animal Crossing on the Wii U, and people just hated it. And I guess that made them learn their lesson and realize that they needed to put time and effort into Animal Crossing again to make a new classic, to make a new definitive Animal Crossing game. And that's really exciting. I mean, a lot of their big IPs are getting games that could possibly be new standards in the franchise. You know, Pokemon's having a basically open world Breath of the Wild version of Pokemon. Like, it's crazy. You're going to be able to see everything. It's going to have
that I would love to play, dude. See, that's a
right.
Pokemon
It's like a
I could
totally
get into.
different angle on the game, and those are two of their biggest IPs this year, basically redefining their genre. And the thing is, Breath of the Wild did that a few years ago, and I think that's what's crazy about the Switch is the Switch is like, in a sense, a way more successful GameCube, but it reminds me of the GameCube in the sense that it is basically trying to make the best of all of their main IPs. And the GameCube is great at that. All the main flagship characters that Nintendo owns have some of their best games on the GameCube. And now it's turning out to be the Switch is their new home for the best games of these franchises. And I think they realize that, and they realize that Animal Crossing does not need to be a big Christmas game. And the Switch has always been about that. I think the Switch didn't even release for the holidays. Didn't it release in the spring? I think it did. Yeah, and
I believe it was, yeah.
The only game that they really released that was like, there's like two that were released for the holidays.
But it took off like crazy too. And I think one of the advantages it's kind of off the subject, but I think the reason why it took off so well is because it was portable and school was getting out.
Yeah.
No lie. I think they were very smart about what they did.
Also, it may have been the fact that they just came off of a flop of a console. Maybe they were expecting it to have kind of a slow reception, and then eventually people would catch on and then buy the Christmas season.
But it took off like crazy.
And,
good Lord, man. Christmas, everybody and their dog
and
wanted
2018 is where it really took off. 2018 was a big year for them.
Yes.
And 2019 seems to be the big year of games for them. They have so many games this year. But the thing is, they've only had like two big Christmas releases. They had Mario Odyssey one Christmas, and then last Christmas 2018 Christmas was Smash Bros. And for the most part, they don't really care where they release them. There's always a big spring title. There's going to be a big summer title.
Yeah.
They'd space them out, and they realize that their games just sell over time, and that.
Yes, they do. They're very smart about it. If you think about it, they're not hugely commercialized like these other games are, but they do.
Yeah,
just
because they
well.
realize that a quality game will sell very well in all seasons, all the time. And the thing that proves that is the fact that if you look at the top selling Switch games in a month, in the top 5 will still be Mario Kart 8 and Breath of the Wild, which are multiple years old. Mario Kart 8 is at least 3 to 4 years old or something stupid. And they still sell really well. And they're making the right choice by delaying it. And talking about video game crunch time and just basically pushing out games and overworking your developers, there's another disadvantage to overworking them is you may end up losing those developers. You may end up losing those designers because hell, they might want to see their family every now and then. And Nintendo's realizing that it's better to keep designers that actually make a quality game, keep them happy, and they'll keep making great games, basically. And extending the development time on something allows them to actually get into it more, make sure that everything's polished. And to be honest, adding 3 to 4 months on development of a game adds 3 to 4 months of them getting paid, So everyone really wins in it. Nintendo, you might say, is the only one not winning because they're having to pay more for the game. But they realize that in the long run, they will make more on a game that's quality than a game that everybody forgets about. They're trying to make an Animal Crossing that's going to be in the top 10 best-selling games on the Switch every month for a couple of years. They're not trying to make this is the best-selling game of the month. Bethesda. But it's refreshing, and I'm hoping more companies follow suit. It's hard to build up a brand or developer to get to the level in Nintendo where you know that you're getting quality just by purchasing it, you know? But companies like Naughty Dog are currently there, and they know that they can stay there if they keep making their own rules, you know? Bethesda used to be there. They were there until like the last, I don't know, 4 years. Maybe 5 years. I don't know. There's been companies that have been there, but they usually get too big for their britches and end up overworking themselves and being more concerned of dollars than they are concerned of longevity, you know?
Well, another company that is taking their time making their games is CD Projekt Red. Cyberpunk 2077 is coming out. They've been working on that since 2013. Microsoft revealed the trailer for it at E3.
Yeah.
And they're coming out with the game on April 16th of 2020.
It looks really good.
It looks crazy good, man.
The only thing I didn't really like about it was it looks like it's going to be in first person. I think it would be a great third person game.
It would be a great third person game, but it's going to be a classic first person.
Yeah.
You know, type
you
of game.
Can't have everything, but it looks really good.
Yeah, it does. It does. Keanu Reeves makes an appearance at the end of the trailer. Check it out. He's Mr. Fusion. I won't tell you about that part, but you should look at it.
I mean, his appearance at E3 has only been memed to hell for the last 2 weeks.
Yes. You're beautiful.
Breathtaking.
You're breathtaking, yeah.
Have you seen the one where it's Bob Ross painting a picture of Keanu Reeves?
Yep.
It says 3 breathtaking people staring at each other.
Oh my God. Yeah. And actually, that is what was that? I'm sorry.
I'm just saying it looks really good. It's from the makers of The Witcher, and it's got that gritty look to it, but really polished.
It's an open world shooter too, which is cool. It's not confined to just, you know, you have to go this direction, this way. It's open world. It's neat. I think it's going to be very.
It looks like the Blade Runner game we've always dreamed of.
Stunning visually. You know, yeah, it does. It does look like Blade Runner. It really does. That's what it reminded me of in the cinematic, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, immediately it's screaming Blade Runner, and it's like, oh yes, finally a big budget Blade Runner type game. You know?
A little bit old and a little bit new Blade Runner. You know, the two movies. It kind of reminded me of a little bit of both.
Yeah, it's got even some of that. I bet you that they used Blade Runner as a inspiration for the artist that worked on the concept art for it, because it even has lighting that's similar. It reminds me a lot of the newer one.
It really does. Because now that I'm thinking back on it, it's just 100%. I don't know why that didn't pop into my head right away, but yeah.
I think it's because we're used to seeing so many ripoffs of the Blade Runner type, for lack of a better word, cyberpunk.
That is true.
That whole style, we see so many ripoffs that we're just kind of numb to it. But the thing is, there really hasn't been a big budget one that's like pretty accurate to the Blade Runner type of niche, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks really cool. Really excited about it. I haven't paid $60 for a game in a while, but that one I might have to when it comes out.
That's actually there's a game, speaking of Keanu Reeves, that I'm going to be talking about next week. I'm going to title
this
the next
episode that Speaking of Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, okay.
We'll probably get a lot more hits.
You know, you're right. We probably will. But it's John Wick Hex. So I'm going to download and play that game. It looks really, really cool with that art style that I'm falling in love with. It kind of reminds me of a little bit of Borderlands and last comic book style game that I was playing. I can't remember. But anyway, yeah, it looks really cool. I'm going to definitely download it and play it, but I'll talk about that one next week.
It's going to be titled Declassified Cheat Codes Podcast. Just two breathtaking gamers talking about Keanu Reeves.
Who's a Keanu Reeves fanboy? This guy.
Jesus Christ. If you can't.
But actually, CD Projekt Red is working on a game that I think you wanted to talk about.
Oh, which one is that? Oh,
Witcher 3.
oh, the port. Yeah, it's a game that's already been around for a while. Witcher 3. Everybody wants them to release a new Witcher, obviously, but it's going to be ported to the Switch, and it's going to be on a 32 gigabyte cartridge, which is amazing. Which a lot of people are saying that it may not actually take up much room on your Switch. You may be able to put that cartridge in and hardly download anything for it because it's such a large one.
It could be.
And the only reason that they can get away with that is we've always talked about how Switch games could barely ever go on sale because their cartridges are so expensive. But the thing is, because the console is getting so much more popular, those cartridges are coming down. That's why we can have even a 32 gigabyte cartridge for The Witcher. And that gives us some hope that maybe soon we'll see some big titles like Mario Kart and Smash Bros. And things like that maybe go on sales more often, just because the cartridges are cheaper. To be honest, a lot of those $60 games, Walmart has done a competitive pricing on them, and they're consistently 50. A lot of them are consistently 50, 55. And that's really encouraging to gamers on a budget, breathtaking gamers on a budget that want cheaper games, It's a shame that the Switch had to have cartridges because that has ultimately just been a hindrance to its marketplace. The cartridges get them in stores, but the cartridges also keep the price of their games up. The thing is, if any console made sense as an all-digital console, it's the Switch. I'm surprised they haven't released an all-digital Switch yet.
They probably have one in the works, and they're just not saying anything.
There's talk about...
Because they know they've got a gold mine.
Yeah, there's talk about the Switch Pro and the Switch Mini. A lot of people are saying that the Switch Mini may just be without a dock, and it may just be streaming. Well, and it might be like $200 or $180. And that would be a really attractive price for the Switch. And I think it would make sense to make it not take cartridges, like an all streaming Switch. The thing is,
it makes 100% sense with the Switch, dude. It makes total sense.
The thing is, they were so forward thinking when they were designing the Switch. They designed the Switch to accept a 2 terabyte flash drive, not flash drive, micro SD. And the thing is, at the time they designed that, big companies like SanDisk and Samsung hadn't even developed one yet. There wasn't even one on the market. The largest you could get was like half a terabyte.
They're like, catch up to us, guys.
Yeah, and that's just how ahead that Nintendo's thinking. And the thing is, if you're making a console that can hold up to 2 terabytes on a handheld, on a micro, it doesn't need a cartridge slot. It could be all streaming. It could be all download, You could just download everything to it. I mean, that's a lot of space. You could fit a lot of games on 2 terabytes,
Yes, you can. You can put a shit ton on there.
We already talked about, I think I had one last point before you finished us out. We already talked a little bit about the Scarlet, but I wanted to talk about... I'm sorry, it's not the Scarlet. I'll talk about xCloud. They did some xCloud demos at E3, and some people that were allowed to demo it were testing the latency of it. And I thought what was really interesting was xCloud had a 67 millisecond latency when they were recording through it, and the Xbox Ones right next to it had only a 63 millisecond. So it's a 4 millisecond difference,
Which is quite a bit.
It is quite a bit, but it's also surprisingly low considering one is going through the cloud. And we've always talked about how, you're not going to get the latency. How's the latency going to be? But I think that's really surprising that it's only 4 milliseconds different,
That is true.
I mean,
that is true. Because, if you think about it, me thinking about it anyway, it's really not going to make that much of a difference,
The only thing it's really going to make a difference on is fighting games. Things that are down to the millisecond.
But but that much,
Yeah, because even the casual gamer on a fighting game wouldn't really notice,
No.
But
Casual gamers wouldn't notice anything.
yeah, I think 4 milliseconds a difference would be fine for most games. Maybe even a lot of shooters that are not based on that much accuracy, you know?
Competitive, it would probably make a
Competitive
difference,
people. The thing is, I think that's the market for the Scarlet. I think if you're going to be competitive, then you'd want the one that is connected, that you download to it,
Yeah.
you know? That you would have xCloud for most of your games, but if you wanted to play a competitive game, you could download it to its hard drive. You would just choose which games that you wanted downloaded, you know?
That's true. That is true.
Yeah, I think that's the future, is maybe a streaming box that has a slot where you can put a micro SD in and choose how much space you need for competitive games, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I don't know, man. It sounds good to me. It sounds, I mean, for me, you know, yeah, that is a lot as far as going into PvP maybe, but competitive, but regular casual PvP, it probably wouldn't really make that big of a difference.
yeah.
You know, you're just fighting against, you know, the average Joe. You're not fighting against somebody who's top 500, you know, if you're lucky, you know.
Yeah, I think you're going to talk a little bit about some games you've been playing this week.
Yeah, actually,
last week.
One of them, first one I want to talk about is, I'll talk about it real quick because I've only played it a little bit. It's called Death Garden Blood Harvest. And no, that is not the title to a bad German metal band. That is actually the name of a game. And it's a remake of 2018's Death Garden from Behavior Interactive. And what it is, it's a survival game. It's very similar to their other title, Dead by Daylight, where you got a guy who's a big badass killer, and you are, you know, stalking a group of survivors. Basically, that game is more like Friday the 13th and so forth. Death Garden is more fast-paced, fast action. I went ahead and I got it, and I actually enjoyed it. You can either be a hunter or a scavenger. The hunter is invincible, and he's equipped with abilities and weaponry. Scavengers, they're fast, very hard to spot, capable of some serious climbing, man. I mean, serious climbing. You think Genji can climb? You think Hanzo can climb? No, these guys can climb. And they also have different abilities, and they're able to, you know, get away and do their thing. But, you know, basically that's what it is. It's a survival game. I played, like I said, as the hunter, and I enjoyed the heck out of it. It was a lot of fun chasing these guys around. Scavengers are basically running around waiting for a timer to end. If the timer ends and they haven't been caught, then these different exits open up and they got to make their way to them. However, the hunter also has access to those exits. He knows where they're at. But while you're waiting for time to go, you're collecting blood, because it is a blood harvest, and you are collecting up to 10 of them. Then you go over to these pillars and you start depositing your blood.
Yeah.
You can get up to 125 blood, and then the end game triggers and the exits appear. However, when you start turning in blood, the hunter, there's a big old beacon that goes off in the sky, and the hunter knows where you are. And the hunter can also trigger an early end game, and that by killing all the scavengers but one. Now that opens up the exits, and that scavenger gets a chance to escape. However, if you don't make it, then, you know, he wins.
What is this
But
game
there's
available
different
on?
crates. Oh, it's available. As far as I know, it's available on PC. That's basically it. It's early access right now.
Yeah, it looks like it's just PC right now.
I'm looking at their website, and it is actually a very fun game. It's you know, you can get a group of people together, and you can all try to play against a hunter and coordinate and whatnot.
The Stalker looks like
it wasn't hard.
the Jersey Devil from the Fables comics.
They have a couple of different skins for him, which is nice.
That's really cool.
They have this one guy that's called the Poacher, who's like this kind of like he's like a fat, bloody, bald guy. Kind of reminds me of Arnold Schwarzenegger's disguise in Total Recall.
He looks like a bald Jack Black.
Yes, yes. And it's but it's a lot of fun. I recommend people play it. It was a lot of fun for me. I enjoyed the shit out of it. And everybody seems to work together because they want to get those blood collected and stay away from it. But it's cool because you can watch the hunter running around. You can see him from a distance. And what's even neater is you can actually jump in a bush and he'll run right by you. So the guy may never see you. And it's not like, Friday the 13th where you hear a heartbeat or these other games that kind of give you away a little bit. It's a very cool, fun game. So I recommend that one 100%.
Awesome.
The other one that I've been playing is called Trover Saves the Universe. If you're anything like me, I am a disgusting Rick and Morty fan. I love Rick and Morty. And this game was created by one of the co-creators of Rick and Morty, Justin Roiland. And it is a fun, disgusting, gross game. You do a lot of gross, terrible things. You kill pets in front of people. You push people off of cliffs. And you ground up power babies. And you do the whole thing while you're sitting in a floating chair holding a controller. Basically, you're controlling the guy. You see his hands in the controller. And you control Trover, who is this purple monster.
I just think that name is so funny.
It is. It's very funny. It kind of reminds me of Grover, but he has these empty eye holes that you shove power babies in.
Can you explain the power babies? Because every time I hear that phrase, it's funny.
Power babies are these little amoeba-looking things. They're blue, red, and green, and gold. You can upgrade them as the game goes on, but you collect these green power babies, and he shoves them in his eye holes, and he can see where he's going by using these power babies. The whole time you're playing this game, you're hearing all sorts of the Rick and Morty banter. If you shut off the profanity filter, you hear a lot of the Rick and Morty banter. It's not very recommended for kids at all. If you've ever seen any of the Rick and Morty episodes, like Interdimensional Cable, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. The game is very much like that. Very blunt. You're running around and then all of a sudden the character just starts yelling AIDS and over and over. And he just keeps yelling it. And the only way to get him to stop is to go the other way. So,
oh my God.
Yeah, it's but it's a mix of platforming, combat, puzzle solving. It's not like totally Brainiac stuff, but some of it does make you think. It's also a VR game. That's one of the things that I really wanted to talk about, that if you're a VR player, this game looks like it would be a lot of fun with VR. One of the things that threw me off is when you're using the controller, you actually control Trover with the controller itself. You're just floating in the chair. So you can't move until Trover gets to another telepod area. So you have to move him across the map.
Do you know if they're tank controls?
Tank controls?
Yeah, is it like Resident Evil 1? Are they tank controls? Meaning that that when you push forward on the D-pad to move the character, they move forward no matter where your camera's oriented?
No, it's more the yeah, it's kind of like the Overwatch control, where you're kind of like watching him in third person, because your guy, all you're seeing is a first person view of your guy, but you're controlling Trover in third person.
Tank controls would be very disorienting if you're in VR anyway.
Yes. No, this is not like that at all. This is not like that at all. The cool thing about it is that you're in a seated perspective because you're what's called a chairorpian. And and you can only teleport between specific nodes when Trover gets to a node. So once he gets to a node, it'll flash green. You push your trigger and it sends you to that node, and then you go to the next one. But during this whole thing, he is collecting these power-ups and these upgrades for your chair. And so there's a certain checkpoints where you can do these upgrades, and you eventually are able to grab onto things and throw them while you're fighting with Trover. So Trover is fighting for you, and then you're trying to watch and grab something to throw it at the enemy while he's fighting them. So there is a little bit of complexity to it. It's not too hard. And then you also have an ability to raise up your chair 3 different levels so that you can get a bird's eye view of what's going on while he's fighting, or if you have to look over a wall and send Trover through a tunnel so that you can see what's on the other side. So there is a little bit of fun spots and difficult spots, and a lot of really good jokes and a lot of just cheap and shocking crap. But yeah, I 100%
The only thing,
recommend Trover Saves the
Universe.
Universe.
The only thing I saw in your playthrough was I saw the thing where the Trover's trying to put in the codes to that keypad, and then like it makes no sense by the third one. He's just like, fuck it.
Yeah, basically.
It's like, oh,
and he just tells you know what?
And then he's just like, who would do this? Who had the time to do this?
Exactly. And it's just a pointless game that you're never going to win. But I've already passed through it once. And one of the things that I recommend you do is this. If you do play the game, because I did not do this, collect all the power babies on each level. If you do, there are extra platforms on each level that you get to play, like a standard platform game.
That's cool.
So it is kind of cool because there's different little perks to it. I'm going to go back through and play the entire thing. Now, the game retails, I believe, for $14.99, maybe a little bit more than that right now. However, I totally recommend that. And the reason why is
I think it
will
actually
never
may
go
be
on
30.
sale.
Maybe you bought it like the week it came out.
It may be now.
Because I was thinking about getting it for the
did.
PlayStation VR, since I have a VR for that.
Ooh, there you go. You should. You should.
Yeah, I'll see if it goes on sale again.
But one of the things is also when you're collecting these power babies, I want to throw this out there. Use the lifting up your chair and stuff like that. That helps you to see over rocks and stuff, because these power babies are hard to find sometimes. And some of these objectives, you're going to need 30 of them. Some of them you need 45. Some of them you only need 10. But you want to find every one of them so that you can do those extra little platforms, the extra little levels. They're very cool, really neat, a lot of fun to watch, and also. The game is never going to be on sale. This is what Royland said. And the reason why is because it's got a lot of downloadable content coming, and some is already on the way. That's all going to be free. So once you have the game, if they come up with another level, you're going to download it for free. And it's one of those games where they can come up with tons of meaningless levels that are just going to be hilarious. And I laugh because I had so much fun playing this game. I played for 4 hours on a stream and just laughed my butt off the entire time. And I know that some of the people came and watched and left immediately because there's a guy running around going, AIDS! Well, of course you're going to run away. Or the ones that tell me, hey, dipshit, it's time to go. Why are you still standing here? And after a while, you realize they're talking to you. So... Yes, I recommend it. It's a lot of fun. It was so much fun. I do not recommend it for kids.
I mean, I don't think we're ever going to recommend M-rated games to kids. I think ESRB's got us covered.
No, not at all. Yeah, ESRB's got us covered there. But yeah, if you're a parent, I don't recommend you let them watch you play unless you have the language filter on, because it gets pretty
unless
raunchy.
You can put a language filter on your kid, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
Fine.
That's true. Like earplugs.
No, I was just meaning putting like a gag on them so that they don't say any language.
Oh, I got you. I got you. But yeah, it's a great game.
Since you like that game so much, have you played the game Dr. Langeskov, the Tiger and the Terribly Cursed Emerald?
No, I have not.
I think it's free on Steam. If you haven't played it, it is not created by Justin Roiland, but he does a voice on it. And it's created by the people that did the Stanley Parable. It only takes like 10 minutes to play. It's a really short game, but you should go play it this week and let me know what you think next week. It's really fun. It's got some humor in it that I think is right up your alley, probably.
And it's called Dr. What?
It's called Dr. Langiskov, the Tiger, and the Terribly Cursed Emerald, a whirlwind heist. I'll send you a link to like the title of it, or I'll send you the title to it. But it's on Steam. I'm pretty sure it's still free. It's absolutely hilarious.
What does his name start with, a K?
Langiskov.
Oh, Langiskov.
Yeah, it's Langeskov. It's
there it is.
Ridiculously cool. But yeah,
I'll have to check
you
this
let
out.
me know what you think next week. But as far as this week goes, are we all wrapped up? Do we got everything?
I believe we did, my friend. I believe
we could have
did.
talked forever about things announced at E3. I think we really just wanted to talk about those little random interests.
Yes.
However, I will say that if you are into JRPGs, we didn't talk about any of those, but Nintendo's Direct was absolutely full of them. Just go watch Nintendo's E3 announcement video. It's just eye candy, and it will make your Pampers soil themselves. But it is ridiculously cool. Really exciting stuff. A lot of remakes coming out. A lot of remasters and a lot of original titles. Square Enix has some coming out. It's too many to list, but just go check that out. Nintendo is going to have a great year this year and next year. Really exciting stuff for them. If you don't have a Switch, go pick one up, because it's about to be like the happening console. You know, it already is, but it's going to have a lot of games on it.
I'm still working on getting one, buddy.
It's been in your Amazon cart for a while, right?
Oh yeah, at least 100 years.
Are you sure you want to save for later? Yes. So save for later, please.
Yes. Save infinitely.
But yeah, we'll catch y'all next week. You may get an episode in just a few days, since this one's going to be so late. But thank you for continuing to listen to us. Share with your friends. Go like our Facebook. It's just Declassified Cheat Codes Podcast. And also working on getting a Patreon up. I believe it's already running. I just haven't shared it yet. Eventually I'll link it to our Facebook. But also working on a website. The website's getting up there, but I wasn't really thinking about posting our website out publicly until we get some merch on it. But go to our Facebook and let us know what kind of merch you want. Don't put anything ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. Please do.
Like nose rings or stuff like that. I'm probably not going to be doing that, but simple stuff that you see merch from other companies, you know.
I will do calendars for enough money.
You will do calendars?
I will do calendars for enough money.
As long as they're all you, I think people will buy them.
Well, of course. Yes.
Okay. They need to be all professions, though. You need a firefighter month, a police officer month.
Yeah.
And then just one of the village people.
Cutoffs,
and it's
the
just
cutoffs
you
washing
and
the car.
Yeah. But no, I'm talking about 1 month needs to be a picture of the village people with just your face photoshopped on every person.
That'd be perfect. That would be perfect.
But
but yeah, seriously, tell us what you guys want to see. T-shirts, hats, whatever, man. Let us know. Bumper stickers.
Yeah, and let us know what you think about the show. Let us know what you think we can improve on. And honest opinions are the best opinions, whether or not we like them. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch y'all next week.
See ya.